Howdy, and welcome to Risky Standard, a board game your friend has promised you is actually really easy to learn and perfect for a group of 10 people at a party. Presented to you today in the form of an actual play podcast featuring a rowdy group of best friends playing tabletop role-playing games together. I'm Mitch Brewster, your host and Firefly for today's continuation of our ongoing campaign of the Wildsea, written by Felix Isaacs and published by MythWorks. As always, you can find links to those over in the show notes. And I'll drop some links in the show notes as well. At the time this is coming out, you should now be able to purchase the newest scenario for Wildsea, released by Felix, called Tigers on the Wire, which is a little pre-made adventure chasing through an area of the Wildsea with an interesting broadcast emitting on the wild waves. It's really cool. I've been looking through it a lot last couple of weeks since it came out, so would recommend. And as always, really great design and art. All of the Wildsea books are gorgeous. You can find me over on Blue Sky at Magnesium B. You can find the show over on Blue Sky or Instagram at Risky Standard. You also always find us on the Discord. Great place to catch up on show news and chit-chat about the goings-on in the Wildsea. And don't forget to catch us over on Patreon at patreon.com/riskystandard, where you can join to gain access to monthly bonus episodes where we're playing side stories connected to our primary campaigns, along with some other fun, weird stuff. Not sure which will have come out when this is coming out, but we did a really fun himbo treasure hunt by Grant Howitt not too long ago. That was a real treat, a very funny, goofy one. Highly recommend checking that out. And onwards and upwards. With me today, I've got Pete Loftus.
That's right. What's up? It's me, Pete, changed by experience on the waves.
Loftus.
For,
that'd be the
legal
full.
For legal reasons, I can't say that, but yes.
We've got Malcolm Hall here.
Hello. You know, funny you mentioned the board game you promised to be fun. After what feels like several decades, I have finally decided to pick up the cards and play Magic the Gathering. And it's been a little bit of a magic fever over in at my house. I played it recently in person. Oh, I'm sorry. I got to call out today, boys. Got magic fever.
I've got the magic fever. Hope you got it too.
How about you?
Played with Mitch recently at
so
his dining room table. I don't know. I actually don't know. Did I do okay?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you had a good showing. You put up some decent threats, and then as things go, the cards spelled out a different ending.
Yes, and Mitch and our friend Trent really did help me out with that, and I thank you for that.
Yeah. Shout outs, friend of the show, Young Trent.
Big T-Bone. Also, please go to the Patreon. I think what Mitch failed to mention was that Himbo Treasure Hunt, your boy, yours truly, ran the game.
Indeed.
And it was very, very fun. I kind of blacked out the entire time. Started the episode, all gas, no brakes, to the end. It kind of came to right as we were wrapping up recording. So go listen to that.
Ideal.
Keep your eyes peeled there for Tim's first GMing attempt, coming to a podcast feed near you soon.
Fortunately, yes.
Speaking of which, we last and not least, we do have Timothy Mans here with us.
Whoa. What's up? Oh, it's me.
Indeed.
I'm here we are.
Cool.
Here I am, Lord.
And here we all are, back yet again at the recording studio for a fresh session of the Wildsea. Where we last left off, the crew were, limping back to the bustling port of Caldermere after having found the mysterious source of the growing rootquakes, a strange arconautic obelisk emitting a kind of clarion call, a seductive whisper, "It must be built." The crew managed to disable this device, grab it from the crumbling rift in which it resided, but on the way out, they lost their captain, Claremont Montclair, who now rests beneath the green waves. And in our last session, we had a kind of a send-off for Claremont, and we made our way back towards Caldermere, encountering for a brief moment the crew of the Ossian Retort, members of the Spiritist Assembly, who were also out searching for this source of the mysterious rootquakes, but were just a few days too slow to get to it before our own humble and intrepid crew did. And we kind of left off, I think, with Caldermere on the horizon, right? The vast caldera piercing the waves, the sound of life echoing out over the green tides as we came towards port. And so unless there are any questions or anything, I think we'll kind of pick up there. And so, yeah, I think, just to set up the scene again a little bit, right? We are coming in towards Caldermere. I think, we have adjusted our orientation to be angled towards the Vale port, the massive break in the caldera in which all incoming traffic is kind of shepherded. And, in contrast to the kind of somber mood that has drifted over the ship of the Verdigale in the wake of Claremont's loss, like I mentioned before, Caldermere is bustling with activity. You and the Ossian Retort are far from the only ships on their way into the Vale port. The sea is filled with the roar of chainsaw bites dragging other ships in as they all approach the Vale port. And there are others leaving even as you are approaching, right? You can see as the ship pulls closer, and there's this massive split in the rock, and the big roundhouse that everything is kind of brought in and unloaded at. There are cranes moving to and fro, swinging massive containers of cargo. There are people moving up and down all along the paths on the inclined hillsides, the switchback neighborhoods of Caldermere. And notably also, there is, in addition to these cranes that are unloading cargo, there is the sound and sight of repair happening. You can see there are buildings here and there dotted around the walls of Caldermere that have collapsed or have been damaged, and there are crews hauling out rubble. There are scaffoldings being put up as new structures are being erected or repaired. It would appear that Caldermere, on first sight, has suffered more rootquake damage in the time since you have been gone. Which tracks, I think, overall with your understanding of the rootquakes that you were experiencing as you approached the mysterious object and the rift. And the last kind of big thing that catches your eye as you come closer, catches your eye, I think probably especially Hexam. There is a big mass of storm clouds that seems almost, to gravitate towards the city itself, that is kind of amassed over the caldera. There's no, I think, rain coming down right now, but there is a kind of strange light as you get closer to the caldera, and these dark clouds block out the sun's bright rays. It's almost like the city has been kind of cast in a soft shadow. And the air itself, Hexam, you can feel it feels charged.
I took that as a threat.
Well,
And I took it personally.
But yeah, so I think, let's say, who's at the helm right now? I don't remember where we left off with helm duty, but it's been...
I think it was Calithiel.
Cool. So yeah, Cal, as you come closer, right, there's, I think for all of you, maybe a little bit of a sense of deja vu here, right? It was only a couple of weeks ago that you were all pulling into this port together for the first time aboard the Verdigale, and it was a very different tone, a very different mood.
Liam, we're gonna need a minor key version of the Caldermere.
I was just about to say that.
Caldermere. Yeah, right. But yeah, there is Yeah, right. It's a strange mirroring, right? It is the same approach trajectory, but I think
Do
probably
we fly a
different view.
flag?
What?
Do we fly a flag?
That's a great question.
I'm gonna say yeah.
Can't believe this hasn't come up
I'm
before.
going to say
but
yes.
yeah,
Fan-
well, it's at half mast. I guess we'll have to work on the
Yep.
design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fan
And
submissions,
I imagine,
welcome. You know, if you have an idea of what a flag
What?
might look like.
yeah,
any
fan
listeners?
submit. If
Yeah.
you draw the flag, send us the flag. And I guess as we're pulling in here, I'm imagining like the wind's still kind of licking, like, you know, the breeze pretty strong as this thing gathers on the other side, or off on the horizon, the storm. And yeah, I mean, I think it's dour as we're pulling up, but I imagine everybody's pretty eager to get off the ship.
Yeah, and so, you know, as you come into the Vale port, right, it is, like I said, busy, and so I think there are, you know, these, like, flagged lanes that ships are put into as you kind of slowly trundle in to Half Moon Station, which is this kind of, like, crescent-shaped roundhouse at the center of the Vale port. You had to go through this before. It is where ships come in and are, you know, seen to by the dockmasters, where they declare their cargo before they are admitted into the actual port of Caldermere and allowed to dock. And I think another thing, as you kind of, you know, you're coming in, like I said, you can see places even out here on the docks where, you know, maybe one of these cranes is not in functioning because it is like half bent, right? It is rigged with supports as they are trying to repair this massive structure. You know, there's, we've talked about it before. Caldermere has a big statue on the rim of the caldera. It is these two figures, an Ectus and an Ardent, holding a sundial aloft. And I think one of the arms of that statue has broken off, and there's a crack running through the center of the sundial. The rootquakes got pretty severe on this side of the sea.
Oh, what time is it?
And, you know, I think as you are ushered into the dock, right, there's a flurry of activity around you, and in the same way last time, you are brought to one of these stations inside Half Moon, and I think like a barrel-shaped Ectus with a clipboard and a sheaf of like wood pulp paper, you know, approaches and asks, you know, ship name, what are you carrying? Anything dangerous? Anything hazardous we got to know? And I don't know who's on the deck to receive him, but...
Do we tell them
Only
about the wolf?
4 broken hearts. Oh, yeah, I guess a wolf, too.
And a big creature.
4 broken hearts and a big creature. Let's go.
You know, one, like, green vegetable brow raise, like, wolf secured? Sedated? What do you got going on?
Absolutely. Secured, sedated. I've tucked him in. I gave him a warm glass of milk, and I read him a story, so should be fine.
Are we allowed to have that in the hold while we're at port?
I think he pulls out a, like, it's like a little bit of wax with, like, a red ribbon attached to it, and I think he, like, mashes it against the paper to, like, put it in place there. And then he writes something else, and he's like, we've got holds for different kinds of cargo, and, you know, he directs you towards another lane. You're allowed to have it. Keep it secured. Keep it contained. You know, no walking the wolf on the streets of Caldermere, but as long as you are, safe. You know, as long as you're following procedure. I don't think it's strictly against the rules here, and I think you are, you know, probably brought into. Instead of having your ship like chained up and like hoisted on the side of the walls like you were last time, I imagine that there is like a cutout in the rock, almost like a little like cavern here on the western side of the Vale port that you are brought into, and you know maybe there are like guards stationed at this like docking bay, right? This is like for people who have declared cargo that is maybe considered slightly more dangerous or more like. Needs to be secured, right? And if something got out of your hold here, it would have a harder time getting out into the city than it would if it was near one of like the main entrances. Anybody telling him about the strange, mysterious obelisk that you pulled from the?
I will not be telling him about that.
No, we didn't even know about that.
No, that seems a little more relevant to the lanterns.
Need to know basis.
I was just thinking, if you were walking a pinwolf, imagine the size of the poop bag you'd have to bring with you.
Disgusting.
No plastic either. You're dealing with like
I know
canvas.
Yeah,
Stitched together leaves. You know your fingers going right through that.
Yeah.
Gross. Continue.
But yeah, I think there's also, I think, just kind of like a little bit of a weirdness here. Like, you have to handle stuff that Claremont was handling before, right? Like, you are docked in, there is presumably an exchange of scratch here, like docking fees. And then, I think like the ship, you're guided in. There are other ships docking here. I think you see the Ossian retort takes off a different direction, right? They are not carrying any pinwolves or any other dangerous cargo. Their ship is attached to chains and hoisted up the side towards one of like the main docks.
Does it seem like other ships were also like, caught in the thrash here of this like storm? Did anybody else pull anything interesting?
Oh, yeah. So I think that's like, that's kind of
Like
the
Boomtown right now.
Exactly, right? Rootquakes are dangerous, and the ones that have been happening here have been extremely severe, right? But it is also a thing that shakes up what is below the surface and brings it higher. And I think that there are like ships coming like laden with salvage right now, right? There is like a real, like I said, a bustle in this market, right? Or in this port right now. There are a ton of ships coming in, and others that are like clearly eager to get out, to get back on the Wildsea, because there is this real flurry of activity with the sea so rich with salvage. I think you can even like look out from the city, right, and see faint glittering on the waves in the distance, pieces of metal scrap that have been pushed up. It is harvest season in more ways than one. Also, I think it is, amidst the construction that you can see happening on the walls, as you get out, and say we follow our crew up, taking one of the lifts to emerge on the exterior walls of the switchback. You can also see that people are putting up banners and streamers. They are preparing for something you heard announced when you last left, which is the Spring Harvest Festival. There is an air of celebration amidst the kind of ruin and wreckage here. So like right alongside people rebuilding, there are people decorating. But all of that too, I think, tinged with a kind of uneasy energy. Like I said, the air feels heavy, charged, thick because of the storm clouds overhead, right? There's a kind of, I think, even as you see people hanging up these like pennants and banners and these like flower garlands, they're looking up. I think the festival is supposed to happen tomorrow, the day after, perhaps. But everyone, I think, is also kind of like, well, will we get a bit of sunshine again? What is going on with this storm? Why is it lingering? Because I think it is lingering, right? It is, the storm front on a glance upward does not look normal. It is clearly a like bank of clouds that are circling or like surrounding the city, but blue skies past that, right? The wind is blowing, but the clouds aren't drifting away.
Oh, so you see blue skies beyond the storm cloud? That's even
Yeah.
scarier.
It is like a circle of darkness casting an almost like a column of shadow over the city itself. It's not quite normal. But people are trying to carry on anyways, right? I think it has been, and some of this is like overheard in chatter on the street, and on the docks, right? It's been days since the last big rootquake. Things have settled down. Whatever it was, it's probably stopped. The Wildsea is strange. These things just happen. Let's get back out there. This is a chance to get our riches. This is a chance to like, find something special. Look at what they're bringing in. Full nets, holds filled to the brim with cargo. If we don't get out there again right now, we're missing out. And forget this storm. We can get out from under it anyways. And there are, people, like I said, decorating for the spring festival. There are flower garlands and pennants and flags and banners going up alongside the people who are repairing homes and businesses, who are repaving the roadways of the switchbacks where they have like cracked, where like the rootquakes and the subsequent earthquakes have shaken the foundations. And so there's this kind of, like I said, an uneasy but busy energy kind of permeating the streets of Caldermere. And I think as you three come up from the lift and step out onto the streets proper, you can see not far off is one of the large stonehouse junctions, the kind of like Wildsea gathering places and hostels for sailors. And I think, even those buildings standing firm, but like there are exterior repairs happening, right? Stones being restacked and mortared. Foremen yelling at their under crews, and all of them, again, every so often glancing up, people putting a hand out to feel if the rain has started, but it has not. And so where we're at here today, I think we are back in Caldermere. You guys have returned successfully from this adventure. I guess successfully for a certain measure of the word, right? You found the source of the growing rootquakes and you stopped it before it reached its pinnacle. You got to 4 out of 5 segments on the growing rootquakes. As a firefly, I can tell you if it had gotten to 5, things might look a lot worse in Caldermere than they do right now. But you stopped it. You retrieved this strange object, this brass and copper obelisk that called to you in a sort of supranatural whisper. You have encountered strange individuals in an unusual flying ship, which emitted a red glow that matched that of the red messenger, the falling comet from weeks ago. You guys have seen things that are strange. You've come back with reward and sorrow and burden and experience. You guys all now have quite a few milestones. I think everyone has 3 major milestones. They've rescued the Bright Bloom. They discovered the cause of the growing rootquakes. Everyone stopped the growing rootquakes at the cost of Captain Claremont. So you each have 3 major milestones. And then individually, you all have a bunch of different unique minor milestones. And as we've discussed before, milestones are the kind of experience point system of the Wildsea. They are narrative experiences that you can spend to advance your characters. And, we are kind of moving back into what the game calls its montage section. So I think that this session, for me, is about spending a little time dealing with the aftermath of the last mission, seeing how these characters have grown from these experiences, spending those milestones to do so, kind of catching up on the kind of lingering business that you have. You rescued the Bright Bloom last time. Hexlin promised you a reward, Reese. There's something weird going on with that storm, Hex. Cal, you got that strange obelisk that, you looked into. You saw a vision of a city expanding endlessly. And that whisper is still in your head. You still have that whisper. And in addition to all that, there's the question of, I think probably Ixtalbor joining you, right? As you come up onto these streets is like, what is next for the Verdigale? You have Claremont's notes. You have his unfinished manuscript. You are, at this moment, inducted members of the Lantern Society. Luminauts.
I think we need to find Vork's Vot and kind of bring the news back, because right now nobody knows except for us, right?
Yeah. The only other person who knows that Claremont is not around anymore is Agnes Peril and the rest of the crew of the Ossian Retort, who you saw briefly.
I imagine they're at the guild hall anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't tell them what you found. You just kind of they intuited based on your mood when they pulled up alongside you that Claremont was there no longer, and they found the rift, or what the collapsing remnants of the rift. So they know that you all found something there and seemingly stopped whatever was going on, but they don't really know the full extent of what happened there or the thing that you are carrying in your cargo hold. This strange obelisk, this device. And so, I wouldn't mind, maybe getting, turning the camera towards the crew here as you guys arrive in Caldermere. Kind of what is everyone thinking? What is everyone, you're presented with kind of the wide open possibility of the future at this point. You know, the thing that bound you all together before, Claremont, is not here. And I think this is like, I'm interested in what the crew is thinking and feeling in this moment as they have like come back to Caldermere triumphant, but at a cost.
Yeah, do we feel like it is for the mental well-being of everyone in the crew? Do we think we want to deal with the obelisk first and, talk to Vorix Vot first? Or do we feel like everyone needs to get on land, do something, and then we'll address the obelisk in the room? You know what I mean?
I mean, I think for Califiel anyway, is like sort of eager to maybe used to sort of having a guidepost to know what to do next, and feels like had just found some sense of direction with, Claremont and the lanterns and like a kind of trail of breadcrumbs back to finding his home. And without that is sort of like, I guess, just looking for answers.
I think we should just, at least I know that Hex feels like it's just going to be hanging over his head like the storm above Caldermere if we don't kind of unpack the obelisk, the loss of Claremont with Vorix first. So I'm down to just kind of go there and be like, kind of do the what the fuck is next talk with him,
Yeah. Is that where we're going first then, to the Scholar's Cup?
I think it makes sense as an initial starting point.
Mm-hmm.
Within a city like this that we haven't been to in a while, that is big and bustling, preparing for the festival, storm overhead, that will at least be like a anchoring point where from there, then we can go on to make further choices and decide what our next steps are.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to me. And so, yeah, I think, we follow our crew, right? Like a sweeping camera shot here probably of like just the city on the caldera as we get, maybe some like classic, Lord of the Rings overhead walking shots, right? Moving up the switchbacks on the trolley around, back down the switchbacks and into the interior of the caldera rim, where the bountiful garden known as Garen's Basket is at. And like I said, spring harvest, right? As you kind of make your way down the interior of the rim, right, there are carts full of leafy greens and, bizarre hybrid fruits being carted out from this central like farming platform that exists at the cultivated forest of the city center. The people here, you seem eager for a victory or for some kind of, celebration, some kind of peace and stability after the rootquakes. And I think, coming down again on the inside, the other thing that we get to see again and again is the signs of devastation that has been wrought by the rootquakes that you all missed while you were at sea. I think some of these trolley lines that are a part of the Crescent Way, some of these funiculars are not functioning. Maybe one of the funiculars is still like they're lying on the ground, bucked off the track that it was on. The track has not been repaired. The train cars have not yet been lifted up and moved. And you make your way towards the Mosslight Quarter, which is a kind of interior section of the city dug into the crevices on the interior side of the Cauldron Rim. And it is lit by bioluminescent moss and lichen, and we've made our way here before. And again, I think, like I said, there's this kind of altered sense of deja vu of things that seem familiar but are made strange by Claremont's absence. You came here a few weeks ago to meet him, and he is not going to be meeting you here today. And eventually, you come out into there is like under a little like brass plated sign, the Scholar's Cup, and through that arched doorway you enter, and it is mid-afternoon, right? It is quiet. Dim sunlight comes through. The Scholar's Cup has like a big opening out onto a terrace on the rim, but there is so little sunlight coming in right now because of the cloud coverage that it is just this kind of like dim, moody lightning, moody light. There are probably some like chemical lamps glowing on the walls that maybe wouldn't normally be lit this time of day. Stretches of the bioluminescent moss as well, providing some ambiance. And it is quiet in here. I do not think that there are very many people in here right now. There is no one on the speaking stage that we've talked about before. It is, a handful of people drinking coffee, kind of reading through books. Some of them are jotting down notes. But it's overall a pretty stifled atmosphere. And I think, big question. Do you three have it with you?
Yeah, I think so. Like maybe we've got it in like I'm imagining like the Ark of the Covenant, sort of like a box on poles or something.
We're walking through here with a box on poles.
Well, it's probably not uncommon. We're heading off of a port. Like there's crates and cargo and all this.
Yeah.
I don't think there's like winged seraphim on it or anything. But...
Yeah. I mean, it's not that big, right? I think we said overall it's like about like 2 feet long or 2 feet tall. Like it is.
So huge.
Yeah.
It's a big box.
Yeah.
Big for me. Feel pretty large. Yeah. So, like a decent sized box, but like something one person could kind of carry somewhat uncomfortably, as Claremont did before his unfortunate misstep. But so it is in a box. You guys have it like kind of covered up as you are arriving. And so as the three of you arrive at this space, I think you step in through the like arched doorway. Almost immediately, someone stands up tall to greet you. It is this tall, robust Ectus that you have met before. He's got this great big beard of spines growing on his face, kind of manicured and grown in the pattern of like a human beard, an ardent beard rather. He's wearing, I think like little like tiny circle wireframe glasses, but there are no eyes behind him. He's an Ectus. He does not have eyes in the same way that humans do. I think he is wearing like a kind of, I think like something like what Claremont was often wearing, right? Like a suit, a waistcoat, kind of like a more genteel outfit. And I think he closes a book as he stands, and his vegetable face wrinkles in surprise, and then he lets out like the crew of the Verdigale. As the three of you step in, and he does like a little clap, right? And you come in bearing the box, and there's like a longer beat, right? And I think he even maybe does like the kind of like lean to the side, then facing. Where's your captain? I wanted to congratulate Claremont. We have not had an unexpected rootquake in days at this time.
I'm afraid he's not here.
And I think his face
fell.
Yeah, simple to the point.
Overboard. Into the sea. Presumed dead. Certainly lost.
And I think his expression softens for a moment. He takes off the wireframe glasses, folds them up, and he puts them in the pocket of his waistcoat. I see. I'm very sorry to hear that. He was a great man, a good captain, and I think he gestures to the person behind the counter of the coffee bar, and has 3 mugs ordered over. Brings you towards a table near the back of the room, kind of away from the rest of the limited crowd. Please tell me everything. It'd be good to know.
Where do we begin?
We don't have to
messenger.
We don't have to actually recount the full. This would be editor's note. See episodes 9 through 14 of Risky Standard. But are you guys giving him kind of like the? Are you giving him the full rundown of?
Yeah, I think the broad strokes, right? And we pursued the red messenger and found a sort of chasm. And at the bottom of that chasm was some sort of device, ruin, object. We don't really know. And Montclair led us on an expedition. Whatever it was, we were ambushed, pursued maybe, by something I don't think he'd seen either. Men, I suppose? Machines? Some sort of clockwork engineers.
And on the way back, I went through his folio. There were no notes on whatever this was, so it wasn't something he was prepared for or anything we could account for. I don't know.
I think Vorix has pulled out a notebook at some point during this and is like jotting his own notes. There's like a moment here, like some red messengers tied to some kind of group, and a person responsible for it. I'd always assumed a natural phenomenon. This holds interesting implications.
Well, something came down from the sky, a sort of ship cast in the same red light. And I think the crew of that vessel were after this. Is this the calculation engine?
That is not the calculation engine. That was a thing that you understood. It was a little calculation engine. I will tell you right now, all of my notes refer to this as either the object or the obelisk. If there's a different name for it, you guys don't have. I mean,
we don't know yet. Yeah.
But there's not there's no. You didn't get a title for what this object is.
Right.
So all of my notes refer to it just as the capital O object, but feel free to call it whatever you want.
Well, I think, we put the box up, right, and like maybe pop the little lid a little bit. And I have some of these amber chips that I took from the ziggurat too, and I think like scattered some of these, right? And I would say this is we don't know, and be careful. Don't look into it too long. Its interiority is vast, unknown, strange. But the captain was undaunted, and he felt this was an important quarry for the Lantern Society. So while we couldn't save him, we saved this.
And I think he asks you, like, how many days ago was it that you did this, right? And
2?
Yeah, maybe probably a little bit longer. I'd say probably 5 days getting there and back. But I think the key is that like it lines up. He tells you right now. We had a terrible rootquake 5 days ago. It shook the foundations of the city, derailed several of the Crescent Way's trolleys, knocked down structures in Caldermere that have been standing for decades. I thought that the caldera itself was going to split apart, to crumble into the basket, and then they stopped. And in the days since, we have had nothing more than the what now feels like a silent rumble, just the usual gentle murmurs of the shaking boughs. I've been talking to Arrow Point. He's been tracking the intervals, the patterned repetition of rootquakes has ceased. You stopped it, I believe. You were successful. Whatever this thing was, it was producing these rootquakes.
Seems that way.
And I think, he looks at it a little bit closer, right? As much as he can. He's like kind of peering in. He's pulled out the wireframe spectacles and put them back on, and like kind of eyeless green face, like peeking into this. And I think he has to kind of like let out a sigh and kind of look to each of you and say, I must be honest, I do not recognize the machine. It is of a make unfamiliar to me. I shouldn't even dare to say. If we activated it, perhaps I could get a better sense, but no one here in Caldermere is eager for more rootquakes at the moment, I will tell you that. And Cal, I think as like Vorix is talking here, as everyone's kind of like looking and we're kind of recounting, and maybe he's asking some questions, some more, he's jotting down, right, like Hex, so you're the rattle hand. Mm-hmm. Like, could you give me a better description of like this ship that you saw? He's sketching, he's jotting, and I think maybe all of this conversation, Cal, starts to grow a little dim for a moment. Because with the top of the box popped off, with the machine there, that whisper that's been rattling around in your head grows a little bit louder again. It must be built. and I think you can feel like an itch in all 6 of your hands. This, you remember what it felt like to adjust the dials on this thing to work the machine. And it'd be pretty easy to start it back up again, you realize. You don't know how this thing works exactly, but in this moment, as everyone else is kind of talking, I think you just feel this momentary surge of confidence that, like, yeah, you could turn this back on if you wanted to.
Feel
It'd be
good.
pretty easy, actually.
Be easy. I could show you guys. I think maybe like while you're stammers through it or something.
And I think as that's happening, like, because it's such a whisper and so heavy to Cal, like maybe he doesn't even recognize that it's happening. And I think Hex has to be like, stop, not here, not right now. And looks to Vorix and just is like, with the knowing look of like, see, this
Cuckoo.
is Maddie. Yeah, but I mean, in a slightly more scientific way of like, this is the kind of stuff that like we saw. This is the type of power that this has, and you have no recollection of it, or we have no reference point for what this is, right? So. Is it safe to open it here in the cup? Is it safe to open here in Caldermere at all? Do we need, questions that come with not knowing what this thing is that kind of just spill out because you don't have any real clarity on what it is,
I think maybe this is like the moment, again, Vorix, I think, looking at Cal and looking at you two, I think, gently picks up the lid to the box, right, and replaces it, and he kind of pushes it slightly to the side on the table.
And I say, even when he puts the lid back on, even though Cal might have more of the like whispers, it must be built, I think you still feel that like something changes when the lid goes back on. Like, yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, when the lid goes back on, Reese and Hex, you realize, because you all have that whisper, right? You were all given it. I think you both realize as the lid closes, like, oh, yeah, that's been kind of playing in the back of my head too, right? Like, you are aware of its own increase, right? And then it kind of settles down into the same kind of subconscious hum that all the whispers you hold are. They are to have a whisper at all, I imagine, is kind of like, it's like when you've got a little bit of a song stuck in your head and you're not necessarily singing it all the time, but if you like don't think about it too much, like suddenly you realize like, oh yeah, I'm kind of grooving to this little.
It's calling you. Oh shit.
Yeah, exactly. And so yeah, I think Vorix, puts the lid on it and he sets it aside and takes a deep breath. He looks at the 3 of you and he says, "You 3 have all been through." Top of the box popped off to you. Sorry. All 3 of you have been through quite an ordeal, it sounds like. If that ship did not crash, if the individuals who came, you said, seeking this device are still out there, there is a chance they may come back for it. I would offer to keep it here to look after it, but I have heard the myth and rumors of red messengers before. Caldermere is in a time of healing and rebuilding. I do not know that it would be advisable to keep this device here in the city. Though, if you should ask me to, I would watch over it. There are others here who might look at it, who might be able to decipher its meaning. I could not ask you to take on that responsibility without offering you another choice. But Claremont believed in the 3 of you. He inducted you into our society, and though I suspect he meant to teach you more before the idea of setting you 3 off on your own would have ever occurred, that is where life has left us. And I think, what will you do? You have the Verdigale.
I don't think it's wise to leave it here. I guess it should come with us.
Will you carry on the Verdigale's mission then? You have his ship. You have his notes. You have his his book. Have you seen it? Is it finished?
We've seen the folio, but it's far from finished. His work's ongoing, and I guess does that make us the captain? What ship has 3 captains? I guess we don't. I guess we came here seeking a direction. What do we do now?
I think like Vorix puts his hands up a little bit and tells you like, I serve the lanterns best as an intermediary. I edit the volumes of our publication. I review the research that our members send in. I make connections, and he kind of gestures to himself in his kind of like posh outfit and says, I am not a wild sailor. I like having solid ground under my feet. Claremont was a brilliant mind, and I think he had a lot to say about this world we live in, about the vision of the lanterns and how we might execute it. I think it would be a shame to leave his work unfinished. If you have no intentions of finishing it, then I would take it. I would see if there are others who might take up this mission. But you have a fine vessel, well commissioned. You are 3 individuals with expertise in matters Claremont thought important. I think there would be an honor in continuing his work. And if you are lanterns, it is expected that you will continue to shine the light on dark places to share what you find. And whatever this thing is, he touches the box. I suspect had it been allowed to run its course, Caldermere would be no more. That's a powerful and frightening force on the Wildsea, and that we don't understand it at all is all the more frightening to me. I cannot tell you what to do. I cannot tell you who the captain of your boat is. But were I in your place, were I a braver man, I would finish Claremont's work. I would figure out what this thing is that he spent his life to stop and to acquire, and I would figure out what to do with it.
He's right. I accept. I will become the captain of the Verdigale.
And I think Vorix kind of like I said, I can't really tell you who the captain is.
No, I hear you loud and clear.
Wait, you're the captain
pretty
of the
obvious
Outrider.
what you're trying to say.
You're the Scooty Puff Jr. You're the captain of. You already have a boat. You can't have 2 boats.
Clearly, there is still a great deal for you to figure out. But I'm happy to serve as a resource, as your contact point for the Lantern Society, to offer whatever aid and resource I have. And, I think he says, you've all been through a lot, it would seem. And you still clearly have some things that you need to figure out. Take some time here. Recover, recuperate, prepare your next steps. But I would not linger in Caldermere too long. It is an unfortunate duty that we must send word of Claremont's passing to his family. And from our own discussions, I can tell you that the Montclairs will not be keen on that boat sailing without Claremont as its captain. Should you stick around here too long, I suspect you might have to answer for its provenance, and I suspect they would want it back. But Claremont wanted it to serve the lanterns, and I think it should.
Well, I mean, we're certainly not going to give it back.
Well, then, if
you're
you
saying
want to...
we should go?
There's no rush. Arlen's shelf is a few weeks away by sea, depending on what the routes look like this time of year. You have time. And there is a harvest festival coming up soon, should these rain clouds ever clear, that I think would be restorative, a moment of joy that you should take some solace in if you can. But this thing you carry almost destroyed Caldermere. It's inactive now, inert, but we do not know where it came from or what started it in the first place. I think you should seek to understand it sooner rather than later. And perhaps along the way you might be able to fill in the unfinished areas of Claremont's work. it would do him well. It would make him proud to see you can carry on this work, I think. You are lanterns. Continue your work. Someday you might be a luminary like myself or Claremont. Who knows how bright you might shine.
Well, then I suppose we're off. To the shelf.
It would be irresponsible to study it here. Like you said, Vorks, Caldermere is rebuilding. It is a place that has so much to offer so many, and it would be, I believe, unwise to continue to study here. Before we leave, if there's anyone else that we can find who might be able to provide any more ideas as to what this might be, even if they're just theories, I would love to talk to them. But I think any study will have to be on the Wildsea, a place where the chance of more people being hurt or more damage being done to Caldermere or any place like it might be slightly negated with the, changing tides of the Wildsea as they are. I think we can take some days here to perhaps take in the Harvest Festival, recenter ourselves, and recommit ourselves to any of the 9 chapters of Folio that are left unfinished.
A wise plan. Caldermere owes all of you a great debt of gratitude, but I would be thoughtful about who you share this discovery with. There are others who might be interested in that kind of power for other reasons. And I think we would all be rather grateful if the next time you test it, you are well outside the bounds of the shaking boughs. We've had enough excitement here for one season.
Well, obviously Claremont's family must be notified of his passing. Anytime you can buy us to continue this work would be appreciated.
It is a delicate letter to write. I will be thoughtful in my construction. It will surely take me some time to find the precise wording.
Wink. So we have a head start.
Yeah, he has no eyes, but there's a wink here. And so, yeah, I think, Vorix is still here if you guys want to ask him questions over the course of the session, but I think we kind of have our kind of next step, right? I think we can maybe kind of zoom out to the montage of like what these preparations look like, and, probably some more crew discussion about like what you're after next.
Oh, well, I mean, I do have one other thing here, I guess, with Vorix, which I suppose Cal probably would have brought this also, that we have a snapograph of the crew in front of the chasm, remember? Like right before we went in.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
fuck yeah.
And I think maybe, I don't know if we've talked about like what like a snapograph plate looks like, but I imagine it's like a chemical.
It's like a tin type, daguerreotype type.
Yeah,
kind of
like
thing?
on brass or something.
Yeah,
and I think maybe there's like a part back here, like a back wall or something with like you see this at like, thinking of like
a memorial
hall,
wall
like
for
little,
lost lanterns.
Yeah, kind of like
cool.
old lanterns, lost ships. And I think like, before we step off, be like, well, there's one thing else, and I think we'd like to put Captain where he belongs.
And I think he nods solemnly, and right, there's probably like behind the counter, right, he draws out a nail and like a length of wire to enable you to hang it up, and like there's a central spot here, right, and maybe our like closing shot of this moment, right, as the crew gathers themselves and kind of heads on to the next stage of their adventure, right, is we get the hanging snapograph, this tin type on the wall of Claremont, beaming, standing proudly next to the crew of the Verdigale aboard the deck, and the yawning rift behind them. We close on that shot of you all leaving the Scholar's Cup and Vorix Vought hanging the snapograph of the 4 of you aboard the Verdigale. And like I said, I would like to kind of maybe move now. It's your ship. I don't know who the captain of it is, but it's your ship. We can kind of move into montage, I think, at this point. But if you guys want to bring the crew together to like discuss any of this, or if you have like, specific ideas of that kind of stuff, I'd say I'm here for it. But otherwise, I think now would be maybe a good time to kind of cover, like I said, playing me a little more loosely with time here and zoomed out a little in some ways. Like, Vorix Vot, I think, has given you kind of a path forward with the Verdigale, if you are all going to choose to take it, and it seems like that's the inclination. And so I guess the question here is like, what preparation does the crew want to do? What, I'd like to spend some of your milestones to kind of advance the characters to kind of see how they've grown. We kind of just closed the book on the first big arc of this, like kind of act one of this season, as it were. And we haven't really spent any of our milestones, so I think this would be a good time now to kind of see how these characters have grown and advanced and been changed, so we can kind of hop around. If anyone has a place they want to take it first or an idea, I'm happy to. But I'm kind of giving control of the wheel over to you guys a little bit here, I think. And my kind of game plan is that I would like to kind of end the session, even if we don't decide exactly where we're going, kind of we end the session embarking towards our next adventure. Yeah. So yeah, from there, who wants it?
Well, I mean, I guess before we leave the guild here, I'm going to mention I'm taking on another aspect. I think based on this experience, like maybe this is, Cal, like leafing through, taking some time in a back office. You're like leafing through the folio and Montclair's like unfinished letters and entries. And while we've got access to like the journals, and I'm going to take on the aspect of bundled correspondence, which details that when you enter a new port, mark to find a friendly contact you've exchanged letters with in the past to be able to kind of continue his work. And we've kind of dog-eared a handful of these already, but, they included the like, now I'm forgetting, the Bright Bloom.
The Brightstone Center for Animal Husbandry.
Yes.
Yes.
I think there's probably a handful of other ones like that kind of scattered through here. I don't know. I mean, we can figure it out when we get to wherever we're going, but, basically Cal just kind of making like a list of people probably waiting to hear from him.
Yeah. So which milestones are you spending here?
I'm going to spend a major milestone to discover the source of the growing rootquakes on this. And I think that's like the impetus. Do I need more than one? Yeah,
so to get a brand new aspect, it's a 6-track project, and each major milestone is worth 3. So you need to spend 2 to acquire this.
Okay. I'll spend the rescued the bright bloom and discovered the source of growing rootquakes.
And so I think like on camera here, like, we get like Cal in Claremont's chambers, right? Like looking through some of these books and papers. And, I think, like Vorix probably is happy also, at some point during this time, right? Like maybe it's like looking at maps together and charting, trying to like place like letters to names and locations. Giving you guys like a better sense of like, I think he would even tell you to like, maybe he is telling you this, right? We get like a cut in here, but like, it's important to understand that the lanterns are not a tightly bound organization, right? The nature of our Wildsea doesn't allow that kind of like intensive, like rigidity of hierarchy. People don't see each other for months or years at a time. They give letters to word bearers and hope and pray that those letters make them to the next location. And so there is a real, Claremont inducted you because he felt in his heart that you had it in you to carry on this mission of bringing knowledge to the world, of discovering it and sharing it and making this Wildsea like a safer place. And so, right, like, as Vorix is like, maybe commenting on who some of these individuals are or where they were last known, right? There's no guarantee ever that like a person that you wrote to is going to be there again. But by that same measure, right, like, there are a few lanterns who are not committed to this cause. And so, like, it is, like, if you show up and you find one, odds are they'll help you with the thing that you're trying to do because they would want that same help if they found you in another place, right? It is like a spirit of cooperation that this thing is built on. And so yeah, if
Well,
you
as
spend
it happens, one of my drives is to forge a relationship between disparate peoples. So
oh, that's great.
That's also one of mine as well.
Yeah. Do you have a mire right now? You do. The waves seem callous and unpredictable. Clear it, I think, because this is like directly engaging and pursuing your drive, right? And that is like one of the ways that you can clear mires. Stuff is still, tough right now for this crew, but like the work that you're starting to do here in building these new connections of like committing yourselves to the mission of the Lanterns and the Verdigale, I think gives direction and purpose to try and combat the sense of aimlessness that has accompanied Claremont's passing. Is there any other milestones you want to spend here? You still have plenty if you want to, improve some of your skills or languages. I think you actually even have enough to grab another aspect if you wanted to.
somebody else can go. I'll think about it.
So maybe our camera leaves Cal as he is like, kind of,
Deep in contemplation.
Yeah, filtering through the different missives and letters, because Claremont, I think, did keep in his chambers. As you're starting to open some more of these desk drawers, there are bundles and bundles of letters, right? Because, and you knew this, right? Claremont's journey with you guys was his first journey on the Wildsea. He's been an active member of the Lantern Society for years and years and years, but almost all of that activity prior to this first adventure was conducted through letters like this, right? He has been discussing extensively matters of all kinds of kind of like, theoretical importance, and also like practical questions, right? I think you probably find letters that detail like the research work he was doing about outfitting a ship of exploration and discovery, right? Like that stuff is all in here. And there's so many of them that I think there's a lot of, it's easy to get lost just, reading his words and the words received to him. I imagine he has a copy of a lot of the letters he sent, right? He's the kind of person who would want to have another record of what he had written. And so, we leave Cal in Claremont's chambers, like filtering through these letters and kind of let our camera drift over Caldermere until we catch sight of another member of the Verdigale.
Yeah. I think after leaving the Scholar's Cup, the coffee was good and restorative, but I think that Hex maybe wants something a little stronger. And venturing further into the Mosslight Quarter, I think in a place that is close to Madame Zira's, spectral cabaret. Is that what it's called, right? Like a
Twilight Review.
Twilight Review.
Spectral Cabaret is further down the lane.
Further down the lane. It's a competing show house. He finds himself in I guess I would liken it to kind of like a coffee shop in the Netherlands, like a place where people can...
Oh, I know what you're trying to say.
Take in a little bit, a bit more powerful herb and try to clear his mind. And I think
So there's a thing, just to like draw it back to the book really quickly. There's like an element I really like in the book that they talk about, which is that you can't smoke out on the Wildsea because fire is so dangerous. But at harbors, they can create they call it smokehouses, right? Like buildings, and this is carved inside the Mosslight Quarter is carved into the rock of the caldera of the mountain itself, right? And so the smokehouses are places where, you can light up various substances that normally you would not be able to indulge in on the Wildsea. And so maybe this is like a part of a smokehouse or like attached to it, right? Is this like kind of vice den?
And I think in going there, I don't have a name on hand, but he goes in there to kind of just try to unpack his mind, all the things that happened. And in one of these, in the smokehouse, there are people there who the book, the expansion calls them like augurs. And they are, people who deal, I think, with a little bit of taking in some of the like differing realms that can be accessed in this world. Specifically the rainbow or the spectral realm, and that's, I think, something that is seen a lot in the Moss-like Quarter. And they are, yeah, sorry.
No, I say, I think the Moss-like Quarter is like full of apothecaries, and there are these smokehouses. It is, there are people reading tea leaves. There are, Gao providing like spore-based intoxicants, right? There are spirit callers, right? There's a reason Madame Zira is down here, right? This is like a place where the kind of more arconautic and occultic side of the Wildsea is often represented in Caldermere. And what you're shouting out here, augurs, like what you're talking about, right? Wayfinders and historians, these kinds of seers of other realms and sites, come from the Storm and Root expansion, which is an incredibly sick expansion for the Wildsea that kind of adds both airships and submersibles as options for kind of further exploration of the Wildsea. And so, maybe there is an augur in one of these places, this kind of seer. Shoutouts to Pete for this one. Salix, I think, is probably their name.
Salix. Mm-hmm.
Salix. I think maybe a Ketra. I think Ketra are fun. We haven't seen,
Oh, yeah.
A lot of them, right? And it makes sense maybe to be inside in the dark, like where the Ketra are kind of historically from, right?
Absolutely.
This kind of writhing, almost like gelatinous body with these like tendrilled heads. But yeah, sorry.
No. That's great. I think that paints the picture. In one of these, smokehouses, gets to talking, sharing spores and other intoxicants. Hex realizes that this person is wearing a certain set of goggles that have like rotating cogs that allow different lenses to flip over as they experience all these different, different views in the world and different ways to experience the reality that they're in. And when they get to talking and he learns what they are, I think that I'm going to spend some of the major milestones to acquire some of these augurs' eyepieces that allow Hex to see kind of different views of his own reality. Just that, as he unpacks all the things that they just saw and what they went through, he's realizing that it can be viewed in a different way. What does, the chasm opening of the rift look like from the viewpoint of a storm? These things that he thinks are chasing him all the time. What does it look like when you can see it from a bird's eye view? What happens when there isn't this cloud that hangs over him right now, clearing the sky, with nothing in the way? How can it be changed? How could it be looked at differently? And in talking to Silix, is this person's name you said?
Yeah, Salix.
He learns it through getting specific lenses, specifically a feathered lens, which gives him this bird's eye view, and a sapphire lens to see the sky regardless of what's in the way.
Yeah, so just to read it. Oh, good.
Oh, yeah, he can kind of unpack this and re-envision the scene differently, and going forward might have a better way of handling problems and, take on a different view of what to do with this obelisk and what to do with this unfinished folio. That there is a different way to go about it that he didn't know before, and will help with, his scientific approach to the problems that are there on the horizon of continuing without Claremont.
Yeah, so just to read it right, this aspect you're choosing is the Augur's Eyepiece, which is a 3-track complex piece of gear, and like complex gear is kind of a thing from this expansion, right? It's gear that has choices you have to make when you take it. And so it's a ratcheting monocle spilling over with gears and moving parts designed to hold several lenses, each one with different properties. When you choose this aspect, it gains 2 benefits of your choice from the following list. And so it's like a list of these different kinds of lenses. And so you're choosing rainbow quartz, which allows the viewer to peer into the spectral realm.
No. Oh, no. The ones I am choosing are feathered lens, gain a distant bird's eye view of your current location, and the sapphire lens, see the sky above you regardless of what's in the way.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And that will help with, the drive of communicating, perhaps, with a living storm on equal terms.
Interesting. Okay, I see. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the view. I think that Salix is maybe using more of the rainbow quartz to see into...
yeah, and in fact, I think at one point, right, like, and this is maybe like what, like, gets Hex to maybe start thinking about, like, maybe to start asking questions, right?
Uh-huh.
Is I think, like, this apparatus shifts to bring the rainbow quartz lens in front of you of this Ketra's eye. And on the Ketra, I think this device is not just, like, a thing he's wearing. I think it is, like, built into his skull, right? Because the Ketra change out their bones and bodies with, like, external parts pretty, like, freely and comfortably. And so I think there's, like, a moment here of, like, there's a strange resonance to you. You've touched something in the spectral realm recently. It is clinging to you. I think, like, probably somewhere in this exchange, right, you are given these lenses, is how I imagine, like, up to you to build a device to utilize them.
Right, yeah.
Right? But, like, I think there's, like, a real, like, your sight is blinded right now. You need to see differently. And, like, you are, a handoff of these 2 lenses. What are you doing any other, like, milestone stuff here? Anything else you want to, like?
Yeah, I mean, I think then I'm also going to just kind of up some skills stuff. And I think I'm going to take a pip in each of Concoct and Break. Concoct, just in trying to parse out, again, continuing this theme of things that could have been different, what could have been done, just realizing that there is so much more to be taken from this Wildsea in regards to, like, trying to heal people after dealing with some of the pinwolves and being bitten and injured by that and thrown around by these rootquakes. We don't really have anyone on the ship besides, like, Extabor who can kind of help us, like, by building fortifying teas and things like that. We don't have anyone who really does any type of healing, and I think that there's studying that can be done with that. So, just in his research, furthering the study of that to be a helping, healing hand as we go forward, knowing that we have only, kind of breached the surface of what can be out there on the Wildsea. And then also taking one in Break, after seeing that lick spitter come out of the trees and just realizing, again, what it means to deal with Leviathans, because that's also one of Hex's drives, which is to craft a weapon that can take down a Leviathan. And he's realizing maybe he can be more of that weapon with his thunder powers. And if he spends more time working on channeling those to really break things, that those pinwolves, anything else that might come across the deck of the ship, will have to deal with the powers he has, and just trying to up his ability to use those powers to be the hammer blow to things that are in his way.
Yeah, those both make sense to me. And so I think, Hex, you've got these lenses, right? And maybe your head is already spinning with, like, the rattle hand in you is whirring up as you are considering, like, how am I going to build a device that's going to, like, the actual machine that's going to, like, put these viewpoints in front of me, and you're thinking a lot about watching and viewpoints and, like, sight. And as you emerge from within the caldera again, right, on your business, out into the streets, no longer under the coverage of the mountain itself, right, the volcanic cauldron, as you come back out into the open air, I think you can feel a kind of weight settling on you. Maybe it's this awareness of being watched, or maybe it's just being out from undercover again. But it feels all at once, like you are being watched, right? That tingling feeling on the back of your neck of like someone is watching me, and you can feel it almost like a weight, the density of the clouds overhead, the subtle charge in the air. It feels like static electricity is just at any second threatening to erupt around you into a burst. And the clouds, a strong breeze, kind of blows, and you can, there are flowers from these garlands that are being hung scattering off. There are pennants waving, and the clouds remain still and immobile above Caldermere.
Yeah, I also think just because, like you said, you can kind of see the clear skies beyond the storm, and that is even more so, like, plays up the threat of this storm above him. Like, he can see that there is something beyond it, and it is here. It is above him, and it is, heavy.
Yeah, and I think with that, our camera sweeps. Where do we find young Reese on his own adventures in Caldermere?
I think he is bustling through the markets trying to find a certain young Ectus girl who, though he doesn't really need it, it was promised a reward and is interested to see what it is. And maybe he'll take it, maybe he won't.
Yeah.
So he wants to let her know, if she didn't already figure it out, I imagine her brother has already made it back by this point, but just in case he hasn't, also let her know, hey, he's fine, and I saved him.
And yes, all right, like we kind of camera up and over the ridge of Caldermere onto the exterior of the ridge to find Reese ambling into the salvage yards where Bright Bloom Salvage, the little market stall that Hexlin and her brother run, operates. And like we said before, it's a kind of a boom town here right now. It is bustling because there has been so much salvage brought in over the last few days because, for all the damage that these rootquakes have wrought, they have also littered the surface and the tangle with dredged up relics and salvage, equipment, machinery, materials, stuff, right? The rootquakes are scary and dangerous, but they come with opportunity. And so the market is full right now. People are, shouting. There are trades happening all around you. There are big carts being wheeled around back and forth, filled to the brim with like mechanical oddities, relics, stone pieces, sculptures, relics of all the different eras of history that lie underneath the thrash. And as you can kind of make your way, you find the market stall with the kind of hand-painted sign above that says Bright Bloom Salvage. And you can see young Hexlin, this young Ectus girl, is there at the stall. Behind her, wrangling their own piles of salvage, sorting and tinkering, Kola and Fulgen are standing there, right? They made it back. They are alive and well, rescued by the Verdigale, and they have successfully sailed back home. And I think, Hexlin sees you before you get to the stall, and she lets out like a small cry of cheer, and comes out from around the stall and runs over and like grabs your hand really enthusiastically and shakes it and is like, "Thank you, word bearer. You got the rotor to my idiot brother and his friend. They told me what happened. How bravely you fought against the Pinwolves. They'd be dead if it wasn't for you. Please, come to my stall. They didn't bring back nearly as much as they should have for what they risked, but it's been a lucky haul. The rootquakes have shaken up some interesting things. I have something for you."
First, I want to say, ow. Your spiny hand is poked into my fleshy palms, but sure, I'll have a look at. I'll take a look.
And yeah, Hexlin pulls you over to the stall. There are, like I said, Fulgen and Kola both like, hello, thank you, glad we made it back. I'm glad to see that you guys made it back as well from your journeys. We owe you a great deal, and Kola, offhandedly, like, It's your Mothrin friend. We had some more discussions to carry forward, but Hexlin waves him off, and she brings you over, and I think she says, I saw you and your little bug friend last time. When you were leaving the yards, you'd bought a radio, I think, right? Traded for one.
Yes, just a small two-way radio.
Yes. Well, some exciting finds here. There's a lot coming up around Caldermere right now. Some useful salvage, and she brings you back around behind the stall, and I think pulls a little curtain to close the stall off, and back behind it there's the other two are still messing around with salvage. She brings you to one of their work tables, and there is one of a similar kind of little two-way radio to the model that you had, right? Mm-hmm. And she brings you over to it, but there's another device next to it now, connected into it. And I think she says, there've been quite a few of these washing up. They've been making their way around the salvage yards. We're not the only ones with one. I think you'll see there's more and more of them showing up, but they must have been found elsewhere first. There's something very interesting. And I think she turns on the radio, and she kind of messes around with a couple of dials here, right? And then we get a kind of staticky burst. And there is a kind of thready, tinny music that starts to play. And you recognize it, I think. It sounds familiar, but it's also really distorted, right? From the signal's weak, and it's staticky. The speakers are tinny and tiny and not great, but there's a song, and it sounds kind of familiar. And then the song comes to a close. And it's followed by another staticky burst. And you get, that was Carolyn Varr and her miraculous spirit orchestra. Folks, witness constant here on Radio Lookout, bringing you all the news on the Wildsea from up in the nest. And the voice is kind of trailing in out static. Careful sailors in the shaking bows, we're hearing reports of wild rootquakes out there. But you know what rootquakes bring? Salvage. And the voice continues on in and out here. And I think she kind of turns it off, and she says, there are people out there sending signals, other settlements from further away, and this, she slaps the box next to the radio. This can hear them. Not just what's next to you, but messages from who knows where on the Wildsea.
So these signals are being put out and anyone can pick them up?
If you've got the right device for it. And then I think she reaches under the table, and she pulls out another one of these boxes. Wires kind of trailing and wrapped around it, and she pushes it towards you. And she says, your reward for, not just for delivering my message, but for saving my idiot brother and his friend.
Yes, he is very stupid. Thank you. I will accept this gift.
I've got a good heart. But this is a wideband receiver. It is a piece of ship equipment that, when installed on the Verdigale, will allow you to receive transmissions from further away, and with a bit of modification or the addition of some kind of broadcaster, allow you to send them far away as well.
Finally, live my ultimate dream of being a radio DJ.
Listen, witness Constance out there doing it on Radio Lookout already. You might be able to join him.
And Whisper FM, I can hear it already.
Hey, what happens if you broadcast a whisper?
Whoa, that's dangerous. I'm gonna have to find out.
Pontypool.
But yeah, so at that, I think from there, probably I imagine Cola sidles up again, right, as you are kind of wrapping up this exchange with Hexlin, and kind of jabs you in the side a little bit, kind of very surreptitiously, looks around, and your man, Mr. Hexlin, said there might be room for deckhands on that ship of yours. He taps his head 3 times, just wanted to, We found that. Me and him out on there. A keen eye for salvage. Good with the wrench.
All right. Come to the Verdigale after the festival, and maybe we can talk. No promises.
But we can kind of zoom out here, I guess, are there any milestones you want to spend here, Reese, Malcolm?
I mean, there are... I guess kind of tied into this. I've decided
it doesn't have to be tied into this. We can kind of zoom out, to follow,
Sure. I would like to spend 6, I guess two major milestones, and I'm going to take on something I did not want to do when I first started playing, but now it seems like a fun idea, and it also kind of ties it up narratively. I'm going to take on from the Ardent Playbook, the aspect Watchwolf. And that is a loyal lupine companion that will defend you to the death, deals QC spike damage. And then what was the name of the pinwolf again? I forgot.
We have a dog, I think. I wrote DOGGE.
I think it just has like number 3 on its.
And then I made a joke about Mr. 3 because we don't know if he's married yet. I like Mr. 3. We'll call him Mr. 3.
Mr. 3. So maybe this is like, we can kind of, camera fades. We cut back to like, this is you in the hold, right?
Threevil, yes.
Threevil, right? I'm happy to kind of do this as a resolution because you have, I believe, the temporary track that's one segment away. Establish friendship with the Pinwolf. I'm happy to like say spending these milestones to like take on this aspect is like completing that track for me. And so this is like you are, do we get the scene of you opening the hold, right? And it's like the moment of uncertainty. Like, have you done enough, or is it going to like rip your face off the moment you open it? And it doesn't, right? It comes forward, it nuzzles against your hand, and it kind of pads around, tick tack, tick tack, tick tack. Those like pin legs on the floor of the cargo hold. But you took the knife out of it last time. You've been feeding it on this journey. We maybe could like montage flashback to like the times in the hold that Reese has spent on the way back from this time with Claremont. But yeah, that's fun. And so we can talk, next session when we get into some action, we can talk about what it means to have a companion and to utilize a companion during the game. But I like that. So you have a Watchwolf now. We'll defend you to the death, which is an interesting. Nice. Is there anything else that you want to utilize milestone-wise?
Yeah, I would like to add some pips. I would like to add 1 to hack, because I've found that kind of coming up. And I would also like to add 1 to wave walk.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's all stuff. You were like out there in the green quite often. Out there.
Out directly upon the green.
Especially since you're on the Outrider so often. I think that makes a ton of sense.
And now me and Mr. 3 can I can take him for walks.
Yes, important.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are in the ship. We can kind of circle the camera around. Have you figured out your final milestone additions here, Mr. Bug Type guy?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna add 1 to brace. And how many is it for skills? I'm forgetting
3.
now.
3 minor milestones or 1 major. It's a 3-track project.
Okay, I added 3. Or I'm removing 3 minor milestones to add 1 to brace.
Nice. A skill of defending, of protecting, of hard-headedness and immobility. Nice. And so, maybe we can like zoom back out a little bit here. Or we can go off the record for a second. Like, what else do people want to get done here? What else is left here before people want to set sail?
I think I'm ready to hit the road. Or hit the waves.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only other thing that I had wanted to do was kind of check back in with our friends at the Cutters. Is it the Cutters Club? Again, kind of after getting the Augur's eyepiece and spending some time, decompressing and reflecting on some of Claremont's notes, just wanted to talk to them about what they know about Leviathans and storms. Again, that doesn't have to be any type of like real scene we have to play out, but I do just like want to spend some time while we're still here with people he has some contact with, talking to people who are out on the sea more than he has been, and some of the things they've experienced, they've seen, how they deal with it, the lore that comes around being a wild sailor, and, hear some of the sailors' tales about, oh, there was a storm where it didn't, stop raining for 15 days and we had to, do this, or, oh, you saw, the lick spitter, is that what it's called? Like, you saw one of those?
Just play it out.
That's a small creature for us. You wait till you...
So, within, like, the montage thing, this is kind of, I think, like, under the vein of, like, exploration, right? And so I think let's get a roll here, right? To kind of see, what Hex is able to find, who's there to talk, like what,
whether he's a poser, and they're like, all right, get the fuck out of here.
Right, like you're again, it's important again. The Cutter's Edge Club is a club of racers primarily, people who race largely around Caldermere, and so that is going to like influence their kind of like overall body of knowledge,
right?
Which is not to say that some of them might not know more than others,
sure.
Or might have like been other places than here, but like...
Yeah, it was more connection to people I had already known, so I feel like I had more inroads with it. I guess would this be like let's start with edges. So, I guess this would be... tides? Exploration, learning the lore of it, seeing what that's about. And then, I guess I don't study. I have 2 in study too, so just like the focused investigation element of that.
Yeah, trying to like chase down like people's mentions of things. Yeah, go ahead and that is 3d6 altogether. Why don't you roll and see where that brings us?
3d6. 1, 2, 3. Oof.
All right.
Not bueno.
Cool. I think I know what like a failure looks like here. I think unfortunate here in that everyone in the club, people seem to be a little bit on edge right now. Because I think the weather has been so strange with these clouds overhead. And, I think you try and talk about leviathans, but the conversation keeps coming back to the weather in this way that is like, it's like...
Nice day we're having.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, it's not a nice day. There's a giant bank of storm clouds overhead. And so there's like an element of like, someone's like, well, Leviathan, is a living storm a Leviathan? I think,
right.
what's the categorization there, right? It might as well be. And I think, then someone's like, I heard there's a storm once, it rained blood and meat, teeth.
Disgusting.
They called it organ dripper.
We ate good that day.
Yeah. And they say afterwards, where it rained, teeth grew from the ground. And I think there is like there is this kind of talk, right, of like again and again, right, like, well, they knew it was coming beforehand because the plants themselves started to bleed. And, someone else like, well, there's always a harbinger, right? If there's going to be a storm, they're proud things. There'll always be something that comes before them. And, someone, like makes the comment, like looking up, like, well, what does this mean then? A storm that doesn't move for days at a time? It's not even raining. I haven't seen lightning, just black clouds. And the other one, that wouldn't be alive, though. That's not a live one. A live one when you see it. They don't just hang about. And as the conversation continues on and on and on, there's a lot of arguing, like I said, about, like, what is a living storm? What does that mean? And, what does it mean when one is coming? And, like, what does it mean what that's happening right now? And during all of this conversation, I think, again and again, you just start to feel more and more intensely this sense of being watched. And then silverware on the tables starts to vibrate. It starts to shift minutely. And you can feel the charge building in the air, Hexam. And I think you know that if you don't move, other people around you are about to be hurt right now.
Ooh, okay.
You know, I think maybe as Hexam, you know, you make your way out onto the street, right? You get away from the like open-aired bar of the Cutter's Edge Club. I am going to mark the third and final segment on a clock, or a track rather, that we started when you were on your journey headed towards the growing rootquakes, which is the track of the coming storm. And
sorry, I tried to do research, boys.
As I mark this third segment on this track, I think as you step out into the street, there is an ear-splitting crash of thunder as a bolt of lightning, the first bolt, fires down from these dark clouds above to strike you in the street, Hexam.
Strikes
you.
Ooh.
But it doesn't hurt you. Right? It is not, like, I think you probably are coursing with electric energy, but you're the Tempest, right? You shoot lightning from your hands, you eat lightning for breakfast. As the bolt, like, kind of emerges from you and strikes down into you, right? Lightning goes down and up. A mass of, like, electrical bolts start crackling in those clouds above, right? And the air is just filled with booms of thunder and lightning as the lightning starts to strike down now, kind of around the fringes of the city. And then the clouds start to break up. But as, like, the immediacy of this, like, rush of being struck by lightning fades away, and you are unburnt, you are kind of there unsinged, but it also feels a little bit like something has been taken from you. The clouds start to move kind of rapidly, right? The lightnings are as the lightning keeps striking, the entire bulk of clouds starts to move rapidly to the west, right? As if a sudden gust of wind, but the wind has dropped. The wind is still, and the clouds are moving with purpose, you know, forming into kind of like a point almost, as like a, you know, for a moment it resembles on a massive flock of birds fleeing westward. And you're the Tempest, right? These things have your scent now. Or your spark, rather. The rest of the crew doesn't know this, but we all know this about Hexam. There's a living storm out there somewhere that wants back what you took from it.
Yeah.
And the thing above is not a living storm, right? The storm cloud that's been hunkering over Caldermere. But there is something in it, right? And you can feel it in that bolt of lightning that hits you, this kind of dim sentience. It's as a hunting dog is to a hunter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Something sniffing things out. And I think you know now, Hex, like, it was urgent before. It is dire now. You need to get out of here soon because the storm will be on its way, right? It knows exactly where you are at, and it is coming for you.
I hope. Time to go. Okay. Hunting dog makes a lot of sense. Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, you know, maybe we like cut to like the shot of like the crew at the Verdigale looking up to the sky to see this like erratic blast of lightning and thunder, and then the clouds starting to like drift rapidly to the west, right? And there's amidst probably cheering on the streets, right? People are like actively like excited that the clouds are moving away, right? The sun is shining on Caldermere again. I don't know, maybe we could bring it back to like the crew together at the boat at the Verdigale.
Yeah, are we staying for this festival and then hitting the seas, y'all?
I think we should.
Okay, yeah, I think if we do
don't
stay,
see why
I think
not.
Hex still feels in a way that maybe other people don't. You know, there's the charge that still like kind of lingers with him. He feels maybe like a kind of a wind that blows that other people are not quite aware of. So there's a chill for him that others aren't, and he's anxious to get there, but sees the importance of staying here and knowing that it is, again, a calm before the storm but a storm that is still kind of going on in his brain. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think it will be here probably. I mean, you don't have a sense of how far away it is, right? You can't hear its thunder right now, but like, it has tasted you, and its hunting dog is slithering back to it. And how far over the horizon the way that is a fun little mystery for our ship's tempest.
We got to try some of these cactus berries that they got at the festival, though. Or do you eat cactus berries? That seems weird. There's a bunch of cactus people.
Cactus berries? Yeah, right. Are they probably not?
Probably not cactus berries.
Youch.
But I mean, probably, right? The next morning is the commencement of this festival, right? There's been a kind of holding pattern, and now that the clouds are gone and the sun is out and the rootquakes have settled, the spirits of Caldermere rise. I think there is, parades through the streets around the rims. There is music on every corner. There are, I think it's a harvest festival, and so I think there are like big bushels of fruit and vegetables like at every major intersection, right? Like food cooking and being laid out. There is, I think probably somewhat incongruous with the mood of the crew. There is like a big celebration happening in the town, and it's kind of because of you guys a little bit, right? Or not because of you, but like this wouldn't happen if you had not stopped that object from continuing to cycle up, and nobody knows. You are the unsung heroes of the festival, as there are, like I said, parades going down the street. I imagine, like strange floats pulled by, like, vegetable hybrid oxen, these big broccoli-headed beasts. And I don't know, I'm happy to kind of follow your lead here, as like what the crew is doing.
I think this is a nice way to close off. I think we are at this festival, and we've got, Mardi Gras beads around our necks, and we're at a parade, and it's just like the ending of a Star Wars movie. And we're drunk on quick wine, and we look at each other with a sort of knowing glance of like, yeah, well, you're welcome, Caldermere.
Let's eat and drink, because tomorrow, who knows? Perhaps we might end.
Okay.
Well, that's what Hex is thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's seeing the lights and the fireworks going off over in this now clear sky as we sit as the party goes around us, knowing that we have allowed the celebration to continue and that there's only more mysteries to be unraveled.
Yeah, I think maybe we get this scene, right? Yeah, you guys are like on a patio, right? Somewhere outside of like a little bar on one of the neighborhoods of the Switchback, and there are drinks being passed around. There is kind of this big celebration happening, and I think at some point perhaps like we see Hexlin and Fulgen and Kola have found you during the festivities, and we get the kind of wider shot, camera pulled back to see our crew, not quite celebrating with the same enthusiasm as everyone else. There is the contemplation of what's to come amidst the satisfaction of like, this wouldn't be possible without all of you. And I think, as our camera pulls back, I think we see also kind of tucked into the shadows of an alleyway in the Switchbacks, observing but not approaching, is the pale face of Agnes Peril, captain of the Ossian Retort, and beside her, the scholarly Mothrin Wax, and the large iron-bound construct, the third crew member. I think Agnes wordlessly looks up to this large ironbound, and we hear the like recording snap of a snapograph, and the a plate sliding out from the mechanism in his chest, and then I think our camera pulls out, right, to the streets of Caldermere, the festival happening all around you, and we pan towards the horizon, the Wildsea stretching endlessly, a threat and a promise for tomorrow.